Good morning, Junior 5. Now we are going to talk about Unit 3, which is food relationships between living organisms. First, food is the main source of energy for all living organisms. Food is the main source of energy. All of the living organisms need to take food to take energy. So, green plants make their food by photosynthesis process. Green plants make their own food by photosynthesis process, which is a simple substance to take carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight and get out oxygen gas. So, green plants are called producers or autotrophic organisms. Producers or autotrophic means they make their own food by photosynthesis process. And then animals depend directly or indirectly on the plants to eat. Some plants eat some animals eat plants directly and some animals eat plants indirectly. What the meaning of directly or indirectly? Directly means that the giraffe, for example, eat tree directly, and indirectly means that the lion eat the giraffe which eat the plants, which means indirectly. So, animals depend directly or indirectly on the plants. Now, this is a simplification for the types of the food relationship we are going to talk about in this lesson. Number one, predation, symbiosis, saprophytism. And we have three types of symbiosis, which are mutualism, commensalism, parasitism. And we have two types of the parasitism, external parasitism and internal parasitism. We are going to talk about all of them separately. Number one, predation. Predation is a food relationship between living organisms where one devours the other, one eat the other. Like a lion when it eats the deer, or lion when it devours the giraffe, for example. And predation is a temporary relationship. Predation is a temporary relationship which ends by devouring the prey or a part of it. Predation means a food relationship which devours another one, or it's a temporary relationship which ends by devouring the prey or a part of it. Of course, devoured animal is a predator. The animal who eat is called a predator. For example, like a lion. And the animal who it was devoured is a prey. It's known as a prey. For example, the predation in animals, and we have predation in plants. Predation in animals, we said, like lion in preys deer, wolf preys rabbit, cat preys rat, and so on. And we have predation in plants. We have some plants want to eat some animals to take proteins. We said before that plants make their food by photosynthesis process, and some plants can't take proteins from the soil, so they make proteins from the animals they prey it. Let's take it for example, Drosera and Dionea. Drosera and Dionea are plants which eat insects, so they are known as insect eaters or insectivorous. Insectivorous plants or insect eaters, which means that the plants which eat insects to get their proteins, to get the required proteins from it. Give reason. Drosera is an insectivorous plant. Why Drosera is an insectivorous plant? Because it preys some insects to get the required element to make proteins. That's it. Because it preys some insects to get the required elements for making proteins. We have ways of self-defense. All of us know what the meaning of self-defense. The animal which protect itself from animals. We have two ways to protect itself: camouflage and mimicry. Camouflage and mimicry. Number one, camouflage. It's a living organism protect itself or to hide from animals. يبقى camouflage to protect itself or to hide from animals. How? By changing its color. How it's hide from animals or how it's protect itself? By changing its color to stimulate the color of its surrounding environment. Like we said before, like the Rapunzel, the chameleon with Rapunzel, We said it change its color, or like butterflies that we said before, butterflies change its color to hide from their enemies. So chameleon and butterflies make camouflage. That change its color is camouflage, like fish, frogs, birds, chameleon, and most insects like butterflies. Give reason. Chameleon simulates the color surrounding environment. Why chameleon simulates the color surrounding the environment? To protect itself or to hide from enemies. To protect itself or to hide from their enemies. That's it. Number two, mimicry. The harmless living organism imitate other harmful or poisonous living organisms to fear their enemies and to escape from them. The harmless one, which doesn't make any harm to us, it's imitate the other harmful. It's look like the other harmful or poisonous living organism to fear it, to fear their enemies, to make them afraid. Examples: some bees look like wasps. Bees look like wasps in forming strips on their bodies. They form strips on their bodies to look like wasps, to frighten their animals or to make their animals afraid from them. Give reason. Some bees look like wasps. Why some bees look like wasps forming strips on their bodies? Why? To fear their enemies, which get afraid from wasps, to escape from them. To fear their enemies or to make their enemies afraid from them, like they afraid from wasps. Number two, symbiosis. First, we have finished predation and the two ways of hide. Number two, symbiosis. It's a common relationship between different species. It's a common relationship between different species, and we have three types of symbiosis. Three types of symbiosis. Number one, mutualism. Two, commensalism. Three, parasitism. And we are going to take about each one separately. Number one, mutualism. It's a food relationship which each of them get benefit, or both of them get benefit. Like what? Nodular bacteria and lignans plant. Both of them get benefit from each other. The bacteria give the nitrogen to the plant and the plant take the sugar from the bacteria. So nodular bacteria and lignans plant, both of them get benefit. Number two, relationship between insects and flower of plants. Both of them get benefits. Relationship between hippopotamus and birds, both of them get benefit from each other. So all these examples are examples for mutualism. What is the meaning of mutualism? It's a food relationship where each of them get benefit or both of them get benefit. Give reason. Relationship between a bee and a flower of plants is a mutual relationship. Why? Because the bee feeds on the nectar of flowers. The bee feeds on the nectar, the smell of the flowers, and it transfers the pollen grains from the flower to anther to help plants to multiply. Relationship between bee and flowers, again, of plants in a mutual relationship. Why? Why it's a mutual relationship? Because the bee feed on nectar of flower, smell of the flower, the honey of the flower, and it transfer the pollen grains, some pieces, the pollen grains is some pieces from the flower to another flower to make new plants, to make new baby plants. Okay. Number two, commensalism. It's a food relationship between two living organisms where one of them benefit from the other while the other neither get benefit nor harm. Commensalism, which means one get benefit and the other neither benefit nor harm. Neither nor. Neither nor. It's not get benefit and not get harm. For example, tiny aquatic living organism and sponge underwater. The tiny aquatic living organism and the sponge. The tiny aquatic living organism take the food between sponge and they get shelter from the sponge, but the sponge neither get benefit nor harmed. So the relation between tiny aquatic living organism and sponge is a common salism. Number 3, parasitism. It's a food relationship between living organisms where one is benefit, which called the parasite, and the other is harmed, which called host. The one get benefit, B, which is called parasite, P, and the other is harmed. The one who harmed is known as host, which is called parasitism. So parasitism, we have two living organisms. One is benefit and the other is harmed. The one is benefit is called parasite, and the other, which is harmed, is known as host. Types of parasitism. We have two types of parasitism. External, which means it lives outside the living organism, and internal, which means it lives inside the living organism. Let's start by the external parasitism. External parasitism means the parasites may live externally, means outside the host's body, feeding by sucking its body, by sucking its blood, by sucking its blood. It makes sucking its blood to feed in it. Like mosquitoes. Mosquitoes come and suck our blood, so the mosquito get benefit and we are getting harmed. So we are the host and the mosquito is the parasite, which is an external parasite. It sucking our blood from outside. So mosquito is an external parasite. The parasite convey diseases. It make us diseases and not kill us. It make diseases for us only. For example, lice, bugs, mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, jaws, lamprey. Jaws, lamprey, it's a insect that sucks the fish blood only. Jaws, lamprey sucks the fish blood only, and this its shape. Bugs and mosquitoes, all of them are external parasitism. Now, internal parasitism. Internal parasitism, it's a parasite which lives internally, which lives inside the host's body and shares the digested food or feed on the contacts of each tissues and cells. It eat our tissues and eat our cells or feed on the digested food. It lives inside the host's body. Example, the liver worm, which eat the liver of the human body, tapeworms, bilharzia worms, ascaris, and filaria worms. And those are shapes of ascaris and bilharzia worms. What are the harms of parasitism? We said parasitism make us diseases, cause us diseases. So we have some worms and some diseases. Filaria worms cause elephantiasis disease. What is the meaning of elephantiasis disease? Which make like this, the foot of the living organism make like the foot of the elephant. So it's called elephantiasis disease. What caused the elephantiasis disease? Filaria worm. Number 2, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes which infect man. Infect man with what? With malaria. So mosquitoes, malaria. M and M. Mosquitoes, malaria. Number 3, some types of fleas. Some types of fleas convey. It make plague to man. It's make plague disease to man. Number 4, bilharzia worms cause bilharzius disease. Bilharzius worm cause bilharzius disease. Ascaris cause anemia. Ascaris cause anemia disease. Give reason. The death of the host is considered a loss to the parasite. When the host is dead, it's a loss to the parasite. Why? Why the death of the host is a loss to the parasite? Because the parasite will lose its source of food. Of course, the parasite fed on its host. When the host is die, the parasite can't find anything to eat or to have shelter. So, because the parasite will lose its source of food and shelter. Now let's complete number 3. Saprophytism. Saprophytism. Saprophytism is a food relationship in which saprophytes or decomposers, saprophytes means decomposers, get their food by decomposing food remains or dead bodies. So, saprophytism is related to food remains or decomposing food remains. It take their food or get their food by decomposing food remains. By decomposing food remains. It eat the food remains like mushroom fungus, penicillium fungus, and bread mold fungus. What are the penicillium fungus? Penicillium fungus are the fungus of the orange. When you see the orange has green or white parts of it, so it's a saprophytism. Saprophytism, which decompose the food remains. And this is the mushroom fungus. Give reason. Bread mold fungus is saprophytic organism. Why we call the bread mold fungus is a saprophytic organism? Because it gets their food by decomposing the food remains. We said that decomposing food remains means saprophytic organism, related to the saprophytic organism. And now we have finished lesson 1. Now let's start lesson 2, the environmental balance. To know what is the meaning of environmental balance, we must know first the meaning of ecosystem. What is the meaning of ecosystem? Ecosystem means any natural area that has living organisms and non-living things. Any natural area that has plants or animals together and water or soil or air together, so it's called an ecosystem. We have three types of ecosystem. Small, large, and very large. Small ecosystem like land or pond. Large ecosystem like forest, desert, and ocean. Very large ecosystem like the universe. So you have to know that what is the small ecosystem? It's land or pond. What is the large ecosystem like forest, desert, or ocean? What is the very large ecosystem like the universe? Example for the living together in the balanced ecosystem. Plant and the soil. Plant live inside the soil, so the plant depends on the soil to take their food, to absorb from it water, which is necessary to make their food by photosynthesis process. So there is a relationship between plant and soil. Plant is a living thing and soil is a non-living thing, so they are an ecosystem, balanced ecosystem. The amount of water inside the plant suitable for it. So plant and soil are living together in a balanced ecosystem, that the plant depend on the soil to take their food. And plants and animals. Animals feed on plants to get their food and energy. Animals have to eat the plants to get their food and energy. Number 3, the relationship between different animals. Some animals feed on other animals to get their food and energy, like the lion that prey like lion which devours the deer, or cat which devours the rat. Some animals fed on another animals to get their food. So there are the relationship between plant and soil, animals and plants, and animals and each other. Second, environmental balance. What is the meaning of environmental balance? It's a balance between the components of ecosystem. The components of ecosystem must be balanced, so we said that we have environmental balance. What is the meaning of environmental balance? It's a balance between components of the ecosystem. When the amount of water, for example, is suitable for the plant, so it's an environmental balance. It's a balance. When the amount of food suitable for this animal, so it's a balanced ecosystem. Okay, we have two factors which keep the environmental balance. To keep the environmental balance: predation and saprophytism. Predation and saprophytism. Predation organize the number of prey. Predation organize the number of prey. It's make the number of prey organized. Predation organize the number of prey. Number 2, predators help the prey to get rid of weak or sick members. When the lion eat the deer or devours the deer, it will not devour the strong one, it will only devour the weak or sick one, so we get rid of sick deers. So predation help us to get rid of weak or sick members of deers. The same in rats. Cat run to eat the rat. It will eat the strong one? No, it will eat only the weak or sick one. So we will have only the strong ones to reproduce, to get new individuals, to get new babies. Predators help us to get rid of weak or sick members, which let the strongest one only to reproduce or to get new babies. Number 3, man get benefit from saprophytic. We are get benefit from saprophytic organism in many industries. In many industries, like what? Like food industries. When we are going to make food, like baking food, like packets of tuna or some foods industries, and drug industries to make our medicine. Drugs industry to make our medicine. Leather tanning industries to make the leather tanning, to change the color of the leather. So those are the benefit, or those are the reasons that we get benefit from the saprophytic organisms. Give reason. Predation relationship plays an important role in keeping the balance of ecosystem. Why predation help in keeping the balance of ecosystem? Because predation organize the number of prey or population. The number of members. Population means the number of the members. So who organize the number of members? Predation. Who organize the number of members of prey? Predation. Let's continue lesson 2 in unit 3. Factors which harm the environmental balance. Factors which disturb or harm the environmental balance, like what? Natural change and man interference. Number 1, natural change. What is the natural change means? It's a change in natural conditions ecosystem leads to. In natural conditions, in the ecosystem leads to what? To the disappearance of some organism, like what? Like the disappearance of dinosaurs, or appearance of other organisms, or environmental imbalance, which may take long or short period to be back, to make a new balance again, to be back to its balance. Number 2, man interference. What the man interference means? It's the human activities, some human activities, which leads to the disturbance of the environmental imbalance. Like what? Cutting down trees. Human cut down the trees, so it's a man interference. Polluting the environment. Who pollute the environment? Man pollute the environment. Burning forests. Who burned the forest and when cutting down the trees? Man interference. All of these activities made by man, so it's called man interference. And number 4, eroding the soil. Eroding the soil make that soil change. And now we have finished unit 3. Wish you best of luck. Bye.